Hello. So I'm filming this video on Monday and I started selling solar last Tuesday. So I wanted to give kind of a recap of what it is like for your first week as a solar consultant. So then you can kind of know how to prepare the best way, how kind of some strategies to get through the work life and try to like succeed. So I think this is specifically for this kind of sales job. I want to make it clear the kind that I have because I know that in the solar world, I mean, what you're doing specifically varies wildly by company. So for me, I don't have to do any prospecting. All the leads that I get are funneled from marketing efforts. And my job is honestly to get people who come in calling through their phone line or through the website have some interest in getting a free quote to get them to sign a closed deal. So yeah, for this one, anyone who's going into anything with door knocking and prospecting, that would not be covered here because I don't do it. But what would be covered here is sort of later stage in the process when someone's already interested and how do you kind of navigate that. All right, so the main things that you can learn from this video, just to cover that real quick, is how to learn about solar itself, like the product, the market, and everything else, some strategies for that, and how to make a good impression in your company. If you haven't heard of kind of the mindset of an intrapreneur, that's a concept that really helped me out. How to get organized right. And yeah, from that, I will kind of explain those points. Nothing about client conversations here, because honestly, this first week was just building up that pipeline, getting things organized, learning about solar. The week that I'm in now, I have 2 client conversations tomorrow and a bunch throughout the week. So I'll be covering kind of what I learned and some mistakes that I made along the way from that. All right, so let's start first with Tuesday because I didn't start on Monday because it was Canada Day. All right, first thing I realized on Tuesday was the importance of knowledge. There's a reason that we're solar consultants, and that's because we're meant to consult on this area that honestly very few people are educated in. It does depend on the market. For example, I'm in Calgary. The market here is very, very new, and the education level of homeowners is incredibly low compared to more mature places like Germany or California. All right, so let's say that you do want to kind of win. You want to make a sale. So to win, you have to be the most knowledgeable on all directions, from the benefits to all the technicalities, because each person is unique from that you're dealing with solar. And they're all getting 3 to 4 other quotes minimum. And the one that will win is the one that can speak to their main concern. If they're engineers, they want somebody that can speak like an engineer. If they're kind of very surface level and they're in it for the financial reasons, they want someone who can explain that clearly. You have to be able to adapt to each different homeowner. And that can only come if you have that body of knowledge that you can rely on. You can't fake that, because if you don't know what you don't know, you won't be able to explain anything. All right, another important thing to always remember is words make up 7% of persuasion in a way. You need to know all the right things, but you have to deliver it convictively. You have to deliver it clearly, like a salesperson, like a good one at least. Um, and yeah, so another really important thing I learned the first day that I went there is the CEO of the company kind of explained to me that the top sales rep, yes, they knew how to sell, they had the right tone, they had the knowledge, but the main thing that set them apart was that they were the most organized person in the entire company. They could handle a much larger volume. They could follow up on that volume a lot larger. They could take notes on individual people to use in their calls. They were so organized. They could close 200 deals in a year, just like that. And if you're thinking about 200 deals with 10% commission, yeah, that can tell you how powerful that really, really works. So Tuesday was a lot of lessons for me here. All right, so I'm going to cover Wednesday now. All right, so on Wednesday, I was lucky enough to hear a podcast about a book called Steal Like an Artist, and the advice of that book is great artists, they all steal and then they imitate and build on top of the work. Like if you see Van Gogh's early work, it was basically direct copies of other artists he liked. When he managed to mesh those styles, he created something uniquely his own. So the advice here is when it comes to sales, you kind of want to find the right words that work, the right strategy that works, especially if you're starting off. If you already have some experience with it, you can kind of be more of a Van Gogh, be more creative, be more freestyle. But if you're just starting off, you want to find somebody that you admire in the company, shadow them, mirror them, and just imitate. Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to absorb those lessons. Because there's so many small things in sales that add up. Right? Your tonality, your body language, the way that you phrase structures, that it's such a large amount of information and grasp. I barely have a hold of it. That if you see sales masters who can do it so well, when you imitate them, you're not knowing exactly what parts you're imitating. You're doing the what, but you don't understand the how. To take it back to Mastery by Robert Greene. To understand the how is to understand how all the little pieces of a sale work. And when you can kind of replicate at least a surface level, you can start seeing the small details and be able to build the mental knowledge needed to make effective sales. Yeah, so that's the main lesson of Wednesday. On Thursday, I really learned that the importance of having a very systemized process, from having an initial quote to the pitch, the proposal, to how to structure the sales conversation, the better. The better able that you are to actually make it clear the next steps, the better. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes every salesperson makes, I know this for a fact, is just not asking for the sale. And I realized, at least for me, the reason that in my past roles it was kind of an issue was because there was no clarity for myself on what next actions needed to be taken before a sale could be closed. So you want to understand all the requirements needed throughout the sales cycle. For us, for instance, we need photos of the electrical panel, we need electric bill photos, we need the roof type. If the roof is a bit unclear, we might have to send a drone. And all these different things add up before you can actually close a sale, send a final quote. So you want to understand how these little things play into it, so you know what moments you can ask for the final sale. All right, so Friday is when I really kind of learned about the intrapreneur mindset, which is basically treating like this like it is your own business. And this advice came directly from the head of sales for me, and it was very, very impactful, because it's kind of not seeing this as some kind of job where you're working below the company, but you're, as a consultant, I mean, I'm an independent contractor, so in a way you do run your own business. You do things in your own way, and it depends how much leeway the company gives you. But you should be able to really kind of treat this like it is your own business. Do things like it is your own business, like you're optimizing, like you're creating a better life for this business. For instance, for me, before that they had these charts that they use for pricing, and since I know a little bit about how to use sheets, I just put it all into a sheet, automated the formulas, so then it's a lot easier to work. And things like this, they come from me wanting to act like an entrepreneur, acting like somebody like, this is my own business, how would I treat this as my own business? That was a really big mindset shift, and it honestly, it introduced me to a lot of the team, it gave me a lot of respect. So that's a really big advice that I'd give. Now, Saturday wasn't really a work day. I mean, from 10 to 2, we went to a Stampede breakfast with a booth and just kind of met people. It was sort of a lead generation event there. But what I really learned about that is that the more customer exposure, the better. Because when you're just beginning, you don't know the psychology of the buyers. You don't know the questions that they're going to frequently ask. So the more exposed you can get to the customers, the better. And one thing that I'm really glad that kind of my manager pushed me to this week was listening to other people's calls. I listened to maybe like 7, 8 calls this week, and that really taught me a lot, because I started to see some patterns between the calls, as well as how to respond to them effectively. And there was 3 different salespeople I learned from, and how they handled the calls were all different, but they fundamentally did the same right thing, which was speaking to the person. Meaning that they were using the language of the person. If they were in solar for the financial benefits, that's what they talked about. If it was about nature, ecology, that's what they talked about. If it was about the technical details, that's what they talked about. And just from that, people really did feel understood. So that covers all the days for my first week in solar. This video's more rambly, and I do want to improve these quality of videos. This is kind of my first one in a while here, so excuse for all the mess it's gonna be. But I want to start doing these at least weekly, because I mean, the reason that I know I got this job, the reason that I can do sales at all, is because of other people who have posted content online that have deeply, deeply impacted me, right? I mean, I just want to give back to that way. And this video is a start of me doing that as well. So thank you. If you made it all this way, that's incredible. But you'll be seeing me a lot more often. Thank you.